On my wedding day, I didn't give a romantic speech. I gave a warning, and within minutes, the room turned against me. Not just my fiancée, but my own family. Here's the part people always ask first. Why didn't you just cancel the wedding? Because I tried. And because the last 72 hours before that ceremony felt like being trapped inside someone else's life. 2 weeks before the wedding, everything looked perfect. Invitations sent. Venue paid. Guests flying in. Her parents posting countdown photos like it was a movie premiere. My brother, my best man, was the loudest one telling everyone, "This is going to be legendary." And I believed him. That's what makes it hurt more. The first thing that felt off was small. A weird glance when my brother walked into a room. A laugh that stopped too fast. A phone screen flipped down the moment I came close. Nothing you can prove. Nothing you can accuse. Just enough to make your stomach tighten for no logical reason. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself planning a wedding makes everyone weird. And then I saw the one thing you can't unsee. It was 2 nights before the wedding. I woke up to get water and saw my fiancée sitting on the edge of the bed, her phone lighting up her face. She didn't notice me at first. She was smiling at the screen in a way I hadn't seen in months. Not a polite smile. Not a forced smile. A private one. When she finally noticed me, she flinched, hard, and her thumb moved so fast I heard the tiny click of the screen locking. "Who was that?" I asked. "No one," she said immediately. That word, "no one," felt like a slap. Because when people say, "no one," that fast, it's always someone. I didn't fight. I didn't explode. I did what I hate doing. I waited. I waited until she fell asleep. And then I looked. I know. People love to judge that part. But listen, if your entire future is about to be signed in front of 100 witnesses, and your gut is screaming, you don't ignore it. You verify it. Her phone wasn't locked the way it usually was. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she thought I wouldn't dare. But there it was, a thread of messages. Not with a coworker, not with an ex, with my brother. At first, my brain couldn't process the names on the screen. It felt like reading a sentence in the wrong language. Then I scrolled, and the language became clear. Flirtation, plans, photos, voice notes, a joke about how he'll never suspect us because he trusts you too much. I stared at that line for a long time. Because that wasn't just cheating. That was teamwork. My hands were shaking. Not from anger yet, from disbelief. Like my body was trying to wake me up from a dream. I kept scrolling, and the timestamps kept getting worse. During the week, we picked the venue. During the day, I bought the ring insurance. During the night, my brother came over to help me with vows. Then I found the message that changed everything. My brother wrote, "Weddings in 2 days. You sure you can handle seeing me next to him?" And she replied, "I'll be fine. I'm not marrying you. I'm marrying security." I felt sick, like my chest was empty, like someone had scooped my future out with a spoon. But that still wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what I found right after. A voice note from her. It was short, almost casual. She said, "Stop being dramatic. We both know he'll forgive me. He always does." That was the moment I realized. They weren't afraid of losing me. They were afraid of being exposed. So I did what any person with a normal, functioning brain would do, right? I confronted her. I woke her up. I held the phone in front of her. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said, "Explain this." She stared. She blinked. And then, like it was rehearsed, she said, "That's not what it looks like." I laughed. I couldn't help it. It came out sharp and broken. She tried crying next. When that didn't work, she tried anger. "How dare you go through my phone?" And I said, "How dare you go through my life?" She sat up and started talking fast. The story changed every 30 seconds. It happened once. Then, it was a mistake. Then, he pressured me. Then, I was lonely. Then, you were distant. And then she said the thing that turned this from heartbreak into strategy. She said, "Please don't cancel the wedding. My parents spent so much. People already flew in. You'll embarrass me." Embarrass you. That word stuck to my brain like glue. Because in her mind, the worst outcome wasn't betrayal. It was public shame. I asked, "Is there anything you want to tell me before I talk to him?" She froze for half a second. Not long, but long enough. Then she said, "If you talk to him, you'll destroy your family." That was a threat. Quiet, polite, disguised as concern. I didn't respond. I put the phone down, got dressed, and drove to my brother's place at 2 a.m. He opened the door like everything was normal, like we weren't standing on top of a bomb. I said, "Tell me you didn't do this." He looked past me, like he was searching for the right excuse in the air. Then he said, "Bro, it's complicated." That was when I knew it was real. I showed him the messages. He didn't deny them. He just sighed like I was inconveniencing him. And then he said, "You're going to overreact." That was my brother's biggest mistake. Not cheating, not lying, underestimating how quiet a man can get right before he does something irreversible. I asked him one question. "How long?" He hesitated. Then he said, 8 months. 8 months. The wedding wasn't a celebration, it was a cover story. I left without yelling. I left without touching him. And I did something that shocked even me. I drove home. And I didn't cancel the wedding. Because somewhere between the voice note and the threat, I realized something. If I canceled quietly, they'd rewrite the story. They'd make me the unstable one. They'd say I got cold feet. They'd say I ruined everything. And I would be the only one carrying the shame. So I made a different plan. A plan that would make sure the truth didn't belong to them. A plan that would make sure I wasn't the only one suffering in private. And that plan started with one simple idea. If humiliation was the thing they feared, I would let them taste it. Not with violence, not with revenge fantasies, with receipts. And I would do it where they felt safest, in front of everyone they wanted to impress. At the wedding. The morning of the wedding felt like a fever dream. People were texting me, calling me, sending jokes, saying, "Big day." My mother hugged me and cried. My father slapped my back like I was graduating. My brother showed up early, fixing his tie in the mirror, smiling like a man who'd already won. Every time he touched my shoulder, I felt my skin crawl. And my fiancée. She acted like nothing happened. Like the confrontation was a nightmare we'd both agreed not to mention. She smiled at me for photos. She kissed my cheek for the camera. She whispered, "Please don't do anything stupid today." The audacity of that sentence almost made me laugh out loud. But I didn't. I nodded. I played my part. Because here's the truth, I wasn't sure I could go through with it until the very last second. Standing at the altar, watching her walk toward me, I felt something that terrified me. Not love, not anger. Grief. Grief for the person I used to be, the one who believed in her. I almost called it off right there. My throat tightened. My hands went cold. I thought, just stop it. Just walk away. And then I saw my brother watching her like he was proud of something, and whatever softness was left in me snapped. We said the vows. We signed the papers. People clapped. Cameras flashed. I felt like I had just married a stranger wearing my fiancée's face. Then we walked into the reception. The DJ announced us. Everyone cheered. Her parents were glowing. My family was laughing. And my brother raised a glass and shouted, "To the happiest couple." I looked at him and thought, "You're going to regret that toast." Now, I need you to understand something important. I didn't plan to expose them with a speech. I planned to expose them with a video. Because screenshots can be dismissed. People can say they're edited. People can claim you made it up. But video is harder to lie about. So I had prepared something the night before, a short compilation. Their messages, their voice notes, their photos, the timestamps, all of it. No dramatic music, no fancy editing, just evidence, clean and brutal. I also sent myself a copy because I didn't trust the universe not to delete it. Then I waited for the perfect moment. The DJ lowered the music for speeches. People settled down with their drinks. The room was warm, loud, alive. Everyone was ready to feel something. So I gave them something. I took the mic. I started like a normal groom. I thanked everyone for coming. I thanked her parents for their generosity. I told my mother she looked beautiful. People laughed, relaxed. Then I turned toward my brother. I said, "And I especially want to thank my best man, my brother, the person I trusted more than anyone." He smiled. He even bowed slightly like it was a compliment. And then I said, "Because without him, tonight wouldn't be possible." People chuckled. They thought I meant planning. They thought I was being sweet. I connected my phone to the projector, and I said, "I want to show you what loyalty looks like." The first screenshot hit the screen. It was innocent at first. Just flirtation. Enough to confuse people. Then the second, a hotel address, a date. My brother. Same room as last time. Her. "I can't wait." The laughter died like someone unplugged it. I felt the room change, like the air thickened. Someone whispered, "Is this real?" Then I played the voice note. Her voice, clear, familiar, saying, "He'll forgive me. He always does." I didn't say a word during the video. I just stood there, holding the mic, while the room watched the truth unfold. My fiancée's face turned white. Not pale. White. Her eyes darted around like an animal looking for a way out. My brother stood up fast, trying to move toward the projector. Her father shouted, "Turn that off!" My mother covered her mouth and started crying again, but not the happy kind. And my fiancé screamed, "This is a setup! He's lying! He edited this!" Then my brother did something I'll never forget. He didn't say, "This isn't true." He said, "Bro, stop. You're embarrassing her." Embarrassing her. In that moment, something in me went ice cold. I raised the mic and said one sentence. "I didn't embarrass her. She embarrassed me for 8 months." Then I looked at my brother and said, "And you helped." Chaos exploded. Her mother started yelling. Guests were filming. Someone knocked over a chair. My brother tried to grab my phone. Her father moved toward me like he wanted to swing. Security stepped in. And then something happened that I did not expect. Someone called the police. I didn't call them. She didn't call them. I later found out it was one of her cousins, screaming that I was threatening everyone. Suddenly, the wedding wasn't just ruined, it was a scene. The police walked in while people were still yelling. The music had stopped. The cake sat untouched like a joke. My fiancée was crying now, real crying. But still, not because she was sorry. Because the room knew. Because her parents knew. Because the fantasy was dead. The officers asked what happened. Everyone talked at once. Someone tried to blame me. Someone else shouted, "They cheated!" One officer looked at me and said, "Sir, we're going to need you to step outside." I stepped outside in my suit, under the venue lights, listening to my wedding fall apart behind me. I thought that would be the end. I thought the truth would be enough. But the truth wasn't enough. Because when people lose control of the story, they don't always accept it. Sometimes they punish the person who told it. And that's exactly what happened next. 3 weeks later, I was at work when a man in a plain jacket walked up to my desk. He said my name like he already knew I'd been waiting for him. He handed me an envelope, and he said, "You've been served." I opened it in the break room with my hands shaking, expecting maybe divorce papers, maybe an apology letter, maybe something that would at least feel logical. Instead, it was a lawsuit. Not a breakup. Not accountability. A lawsuit. She was suing me for defamation and emotional distress, claiming I caused irreparable harm to her reputation, claiming I orchestrated a public attack, claiming I manipulated guests, edited evidence, and turned a private matter into intentional humiliation. Her parents were also demanding money. They listed venue deposits, catering costs, and emotional damages for her mother's panic episode. I read the words, financial damages, and felt something in my chest crack open. Because this wasn't just a relationship ending. This was a war over who gets punished. So I hired a lawyer. I had to. I didn't have a choice. And my lawyer told me something that made my stomach drop. He said, "Truth helps. But truth doesn't automatically protect you from everything." He explained it in a way that felt unreal. He said that defamation is easier to defend if what you said is true. Yes. But they weren't only claiming I lied. They were claiming I caused harm through the method, the public display, the timing, the intent, the humiliation. He said, "They're going to argue you acted with malice." And then he said, the sentence that made me realize this could destroy me financially. "You might win, but you might still spend thousands proving it." Thousands. I thought I was just ending a betrayal. Now I was budgeting for court. Then came the second punch, because the marriage technically happened. We signed papers after the ceremony. It was legal for a brief window. So now, instead of just walking away, we had to untangle legal knots. Annulment versus divorce, division of costs, and whether I was responsible for certain expenses. I said, "But we never even lived as a married couple." My lawyer said, "Doesn't matter. The state recognizes the marriage." And just like that, my wedding day revenge had turned into a legal mess. But here's the twist that made everything 10 times worse. My brother finally reached out, not to apologize, to threaten me. He texted, "You ruined my life. If you don't fix this, I'm going to tell everyone what you really did." I stared at that message, confused. What I really did? Then he called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, and in that voicemail he said, "She's pregnant." I sat down on the floor of my apartment, because if that was true, then the legal consequences weren't just financial, they were permanent. If she was pregnant, there was a chance she could claim I was the father, or that the timing created a dispute, or that I would be dragged into custody issues and child support arguments, even if I wasn't biologically connected. I called my lawyer immediately. My lawyer asked, "Do you have proof it's your brother's?" I said, "No," he said. "Then prepare yourself, because even allegations can turn into years." Years. I felt my body go numb. I kept thinking, I exposed them. I did the right thing. Why am I the one being punished? But the more I talked to people, the more I realized something dark. A lot of people weren't angry that she cheated. They were angry that I ruined the performance. They cared more about the party than the betrayal. My fiancée's mother told everyone I ambushed her daughter. My brother told people I was unstable. Some guests said, "You shouldn't have embarrassed her." And part of me understands that perspective, because public humiliation is ugly. But here's what those people don't understand. I didn't expose them because I wanted applause. I exposed them because I didn't want to be the only one living in a lie. I didn't want to walk away quietly while they continued smiling. I didn't want my family to ask, years later, "Why did you cancel the wedding?" and have them answer, "He got scared." No. If my life was going to collapse, it was going to collapse with the truth visible. Still, at night, I replay it. The moment I grabbed the mic, the second the first screenshot hit the screen, her face, my brother standing up, the room turning. Sometimes I imagine an alternate version of me, the version who cancels quietly, the version who sends private texts, the version who disappears and lets them move on. And I wonder if that version would have been safer. But then I remember the voice note. He'll forgive me. He always does. And I realized something. If I had stayed silent, I would have proven them right. So now I'm here. No fiancé, no brother. A family split down the middle. A lawyer billing by the hour. A lawsuit on my kitchen table. And a question that won't leave my head. Did I expose the truth, or did I become the villain they needed? Because if I'm being honest, there are moments I feel proud, and moments I feel sick. So tell me, if you had proof your partner was cheating with your own brother, and your whole family was about to clap for a lie, would you have stayed quiet, or would you have pressed play? AITA